Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a dual review on the Warriorland holster and the Warriorland weapons light. Okay, this is actually Dangle Nerd's holster and weapons light. He let me borrow to do this review. So first of all, I wanted to go over this little holster that Dangle Nerd made. He came all the way from Dallas via Michigan after he visited his parent and came down here to Tennessee to help me make this. He actually made it. I just helped him, actually. And it started out as a inside the waistband holster, and then we decided to make it a dual function holster by adding holes on the other side to add a belt clip, so it can be also worn on the outside, of course. And then he also gave me these clips that go on the other side for it to be an inside the waistband holster. And the reason the holster is so wide all the way across like this is because the light, unfortunately, that Olight makes does not fit on a Glock 26. And I've done, I guess, a couple of videos talking about this. And because Glock does not make a rail for their Glock 26, I don't know why they don't, but they should. You have to get an adapter that allows you to put rails on the gun. Okay, and you put the rail adapter on there, and this one's by Recovery, and then you put the light on the adapter, and what it does is it drops the light down quite a bit, really low, and it makes this part really wide right here. So in order to make a holster to fit that, we kind of had to make the base really wide right here, and that's why this part here it sticks out, the retention screws. It kind of worked out great, actually, because the retention area right here acts as a wing to push the holster. See how it curves outward, and then if you put it on the inside holster, it kind of contours inward, and then also this part here presses inward from your pants or belt, and because it's when you put on the belt clip, it's almost the same level. So this presses up against the belt, and it acts as a wing to a built-in wing, basically, to press it in closer to your body so that the handle doesn't print as much. Now, also, I can wear it on the outside. So, I tell you what, we had a little trouble making it, and it took a lot of work, and it turned out okay. Seriously. Is it perfect? No, but I'll be honest with you, nobody else makes a holster for this setup. So kudos to Dangle Nerd. I appreciate your hard work. I know you were dead tired, drove 10 hours. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, was it 10 hours? No, 8 maybe hours to get here from Michigan, and no sleep. Went right to work, and boom, here we have it. I think it looks good, and it's comfortable. All right, so let's move on. The Warriorland holster. Now, I'll be honest with you. I am very, very surprised at how comfortable this holster is. Okay, it's it's just the gun, no dual stack for the magazine, extra magazine. I'm gonna make a magazine pouch to carry on the other side of my waistband, so that way I'll have an extra mag. But it, I prefer it to be this way because it's more comfortable to carry a magazine pouch separately than to have it attached to all in one. I have the Fierce Defender holster. That's a hit and miss. Most of the time, it's very comfortable, the Fierce Defender holster. But sometimes, because of the width with the magazine and everything, it gets really uncomfortable when it's uncomfortable. So it just really depends on how you're wearing it, how you position it, and everything. But most of the time, it's bearable. But this magazine pouch that's attached to it with the magazine in it, the magazine does stab into my belly, and I find it very uncomfortable sometimes. And sometimes I just don't wear the extra magazine because of that. But this, I have to say, Warriorland, for I don't know what it's retailing for, but Dangle Nerd told me it's pretty inexpensive, and I tell you what, I like it. I love it. So I have no complaints about this holster whatsoever. It's you can attach the clip on the other side and make it an outside holster just as well. And yep, no complaints whatsoever. Getting a good review from me. I was kidding with Dangle Nerd because I was telling him, why did you give the Warriorland holster and weapons light such a bad review? And he said, yeah, I was joking. I was really joking with him, and he said, I didn't give them a bad review. I gave them an honest review, and it was mostly favorable. And he was right. I mean, he did. He gave Warriorland a pretty favorable review. I'm gonna actually give it even better review. Here's the logo. I love the logo. I love it looks so cool. It does. It's on their holster too. Love it. Looks pretty cool. Couple things. He was complaining about the sensitivity of the button. I don't see any issues actually. The buttons are very tactile. You know when you press it because you have to. He thought it was too sensitive. Everybody's different. You know, everybody's sensitivity levels are different. You know, he's just a sensitive dude. What can you say? Just kidding, Dangle Nerd. Anyway, I thought it was just fine. You press it once to make it stay on, and you press it, hold it, and then you let go, and it's, you know, turns off when you let go. And then if you double tap, or maybe triple tap, it has a strobe, which I love. Strobe is part of it being called a weapons light. You can actually use the strobe as a weapon to disorient your assailants. It fits great on the gun. It looks decent. I like it. You know. So it's ambidextrous. Got the buttons on both sides. The lumens, I think it's like 150 lumens. It's doable. I will attach a example. I was playing around with it in the kitchen where it was dark. I'm actually going to do some comparison clips at the end of this video to show you the difference between the Olight and the Warriorland. I believe the Olight is much brighter, but I think that's about 600 lumens, 300. 600. I forget, but it's considerably more bright. And the only complaint I have with this weapon light from Warriorland is it's not rechargeable. In this day and age, you would think that you would make all of your lights USB rechargeable, at least minimum. If not, like this magnetic charge. If it's too expensive to make it like that, at least make it a lithium ion USB rechargeable with a USB port built into it or whatever. And maybe that may jack up the price $10 or so. Or why not? It saves you from having to buy batteries all the time. But here is the battery port. Very easy to change out the battery, and that makes it worthwhile to. That makes up for the fact that it's not rechargeable. The fact that you can just unscrew the bottom, take the battery out, and put a new one in. Whereas to, I believe, the Streamlights, you have to take it apart. Maybe I'm not sure how they work. But some weapons lights you do have to unscrew them and take them apart to get to the battery. Ease of use, functionality is pretty good. Brightness is sufficient. Okay, there you go. This one does not have a laser. It is just the weapons light, whereas this one does have the laser built into it. So eventually, I may wind up getting a Halogen red dot scope optic on top of this slide, if I don't decide to get a laser light combo. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to now, because I have a holster. And the beautiful part about this holster, once again, I'm going back to this holster, is that let me set it up and put it in there. Okay, once it's in there, guess what? The optics part here, the plate comes off, and you can put the optic here and it won't interfere with the optics. You can still use this holster with putting the optics on there. Yeah. So that's a major plus. So this holster allows you to have a weapons light and a optics on top of your P365. This is a P365X, by the way. Okay, so awesome. There's a little I guess here there's a little space there at the bottom, and I guess because this holster can also house the P365XL, which is a little longer barrel and slide. So yeah, I like it. So stand by for the video where I do a comparison of using the light in the darkness, O-light, and this. Now mind you, this is a small light. It's 150 lumens, and it's a small gun. So you're not going to combat with this gun. I mean, this is basically a self-defense gun, close quarters mostly. You know, if you're gonna shoot long distances with this gun, I mean, you can, but most likely you're not gonna shoot anything in the dark that far away. You shouldn't. You should never do that, because that's pretty risky. And you really don't. I don't care how powerful your weapons light is. I mean, anything past 15 yards in the dark, man, you're really pushing it. So my opinion is, unless you are like hardcore trained military people with this and that, I mean, for every average Joe Schmo, I'm telling you, this is sufficient. This is a good home defense, good personal defense. Most of your shootings, and I have investigated shootings and gun violences as a law enforcement officer. Most of the investigations I did, the shootings occurred within 10 yards, majority of them. Okay, so for that purposes, the light is sufficient. Many people will criticize Olight. I don't know why Olight has a really bad reputation. I'm sure that many people will criticize and put down the Warriorland holster. Holster and light. And mainly probably because they may be made in China. I don't know. No. Yes, made in Chinese products are not very popular with the gun community and the knife community. But I'll be honest with you, I don't want to stray too much away from this review and change topics, but as a law enforcement officer and a detective and one who has investigated many gun violence and shootings and murders, I'm gonna tell you, majority of your day-to-day violences and shootings occur with much cheaper guns. Okay, I mean, these criminals out there, they're not using premium weapons. So most of the guns that are being used more than any other guns in real situations are cheap guns and cheap gear or accessories. Nowadays, you have a lot of your criminals that will sport higher end guns with extended mags and things like that, and and it's starting to where the violence are occurring with better guns. We used to have a terminology called the Saturday Night Special when I was young, and that's a Saturday Night Special is a very, very cheap gun that criminals got their hands on, and they would go out there and do criminal activities with it, like robbing people and this and that. And most of the time, those guns were so cheap that they would half the time not really work, but it was enough to do whatever they were going to do with it. And nowadays, even the cheapest of the cheap guns are pretty reliable. I hate to say that, but it is. But the gun snobs in this community will say, "Oh no, don't get that. That'll overheat and blow up. Oh no, don't get that. That's a cheap Chinese-made garbage, and it'll fail on you when you need it." Well, I tell you what, folks, that has never blown up on me and never failed on me. Okay, as long as I kept it charged. Okay, I'll say, "Oh, well, the brightness doesn't stay consistent because after a while it'll drop down to such and such lumen because it overheats." Well, so many people complain that this is an unsafe light that Olight did try to reassure people by making it so it does drop down after a period of time, it being on constantly. Okay, so that's not Olight's fault. That's not the design fault. They purposely did that so that people will say, okay, it doesn't get really hot. Okay, the reason it doesn't get really hot anymore is because it drops down after a certain amount of time. And that's actually true with most of your more other brands, Streamlight, Surefire, whatever. They don't stay on 100% brightness forever. They do drop down themselves, okay? And none of these weapons lights are built like real flashlights where they are designed to stay on for hours at a time. No. I mean, you are kind of being illogical if you expect a weapons light to stay on like a flashlight for an hour What are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, you're walking around in the darkness using a gun as a flashlight. I mean, in a pinch, of course, you have to. But you know, these lights are made for one specific thing. They're made for an incident that occurs in an emergency, right then and there, temporary use to identify your target and safely shoot without harming anyone else. You know, shooting in the dark is dangerous. So, there you have it. Okay? And no matter how weak the light is, 150 lumens may seem very light, weak to you, but in a dark situation, it'll seem very bright. And it's definitely more than having nothing at all. Okay? So, I would say it's sufficient. 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 My fingers are torture. I can't reach the. There you go. Definitely brighter. But in the dark situation, they're both equally effective. All right, so without being too picky about what kind of light you get in a situation, all right, I'm sure if you spend hundreds of dollars for your weapons light, you want it to be perfect, all even lighting, you know, and full detail on what you're lighting and all that. You know, that's I guarantee you that in a real situation, you'll be happy to have almost any kind of light your way. But anyway, all right, stand by. All right, here we have the. I had turned the garage lights off, and the desk lamp is still on. Okay, so semi-dark area, and I'll point it to a more darker area here. Okay, like that. And first, I'm gonna light it up with the O light. That's the O light with the laser dot. And as you can see, it's pretty bright. It's lighting up the whole corner there. And the light's pretty even with a pretty broad hotspot there. All right. And now let's go to the Warriorland. And you're like, okay, it's not as bright, but it's like, hey, you know, you forget what the old light looked like in a second ago, and you think, well, you really can't tell the difference, right? I'm gonna turn off the lamp, make it total dark. Okay, and let's go with the Warriorland. This is the Warriorland. Boom. You hear a bump in the night? I think this is enough. Now we're gonna go with the O-light. Yeah, brighter. So there you have it.